Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Our apologies. We're having some technical difficulties, so this class will not be on Facebook, but we are live on YouTube, so all praise be to the Most High. Again, Shabbat Shalom, children of Israel scattered abroad. Welcome to another segment of the Blue Strip. We're going to jump right on in, and let's get to these scriptures. Let's get this daily bread. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 5. Yes, sir. 2nd Ezra, chapter 5. And we're going to start at verse 1.
Verse 1. Nevertheless, as concerning the token, behold, the day shall come. That day which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in great number, and the way of the truth shall be hidden.
So I titled this lesson, 10 Toes Down for God, right? And there's a reason for that. What we're getting ready to read about, and as the lesson goes on, you'll realize that there's really a call to action, and that this calling that we have is not just any old regular calling, right? Because the Bible says many are called, but few chosen. You'll find out even with this calling that everybody doesn't have what it takes to really stand 10 toes for our God. It's a reason why we have notable figures throughout this Bible and throughout history who we've been, taught since we was kids coming up. Jesus Christ, the apostles. It's a reason why we read about these men, because they really took it as far as this thing could go, as far as standing 10 toes down for the Most High. So Ezra, one of the greatest prophets we have in the Bible, he's getting revelation from an angel that he's dealing with. And let's read that again.
Nevertheless, as concerning the tokens, behold, the day shall come. That they which dwell in the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of the truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith.
We can't take lightly the state of the world that we live in. Sometimes we have a tendency to overlook the blessings of the Most High, and we really take for granted the spirit that he's given us. We have to remember the rest of this world is in complete darkness. And it's not even a situation where they don't know. They choose to be ignorant. Right. The world that we live in right now, people are choosing to be evil. They're choosing to be wicked. So it says, the land shall be barren of faith, devotion. Where can you really look outside of our movement, right? The children of Israel, where can you see any type of faith towards the Most High? Not according to thus saith the word, not according to how it's written, because the Bible says the Most High is a spirit, and if you want to believe on him, you have to do it according to spirit and truth. The version of God that the world has accepted and teach is not the God of this Bible. You do not see the faith of the God of this Bible being practiced too much in this earth, right? So the fact that we're able to sit before one another and acknowledge who we are and say all praise be to the Most High God of Israel, that's nothing we could take lightly, seriously. But let's read on.
But iniquity shall be increased above that, which now thou seest.
Now look, this is during the time of Ezra. Centuries ago, he said, all this evil that you're seeing right now, just know it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Iniquity is going to be increased above that which now thou seest. One of Ezra's biggest trials was the fact that he had to witness his people in a state of captivity. How much worse are we in this captivity? He'd be pulling his beard out right now if he was here. It got worse. Go ahead.
Or that thou hast heard long ago.
Or if anything you've heard in times past, because since me and you have been born, we've been taught about Noah and how God had to destroy the whole world because of how wicked it was. He said, guess what? The wickedness that's coming to this earth is going to be worse than the times of Noah. Yeah. We really got to think about our reality. When you walk outside, what's being promoted? Murder, hatred. You see pride and ego being exalted. Hatred towards God. They're teaching you to break God's commandments. They say that God's commandments is too hard for you to keep, so don't even try. Just break them. Jesus Christ died and shed his blood so that you could sin. That's what they teach. How much more wicked can this place get? Homosexuality is okay. They're making way for the pedophiles. Pretty soon it's going to be bestiality. Like, what else is left for this place to do that hasn't been done? And on the level that is being done. Right. But let's read on.
Verse 3. And the land that thou seest now to have root, shalt thou see wasted suddenly.
That's all I needed. Let's go to Revelation 18. Yeah, it is. And the land that thou seest now to have root, shalt thou see wasted suddenly. It's one thing to know that destruction is coming, and it's another thing to actually witness it. A lot of times our people choose not to be faithful because they play the, well, I haven't seen it happen. Why wait for it to happen to believe? You didn't have to wait for slavery and all that. You knew it happened, and it's like, oh man, okay, cool. But why wait for that to come to your doorstep, for that to be the thing? Like, you know, all right, now I'm gonna serve God for real, for real. This place, America, is going down. This is the hub of the world. Everybody looks at America and it's just like, oh my God, the glitz and the glamour. And Most High said, for as much root as you think this place is taking, it's going to be suddenly taken out. Go ahead. Revelation 18 and verse 1.
Verse 1. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightening with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
We gotta understand this. This place that we in, it's already in a state of falling. It just hasn't completely fell down. Mm-hmm. It's currently falling, and it has become the habitation of devils.
Every foul spirit.
People that are just deceitful here. In America, one of the number one trending topics is relationships, because there's so much infidelity. The women not faithful, the men not faithful, and then they make excuse for it. Right?
You know what's crazy?
What?
Even on my way here, I was just listening to like music and everything, and I'm like, we was never supposed to be making heartbreak songs. You know, and it's always about how somebody did you wrong.
Right.
But if y'all kept the commandments,
Where would that be?
The only heartbreak would be with death.
Yeah.
You know, or somebody's a widow, you lost somebody in that aspect,
Yeah.
which could still be a glorious thing. But in these cases, all of these songs, nah.
It's wickedness. And then it's so crazy because they make such a big profit from this.
Exactly.
I don't know how many times Tyler Perry then made the same movie with a different cast and put a different title on it, just exploiting the curses of black and brown people, though. Talking about so-and-so was unfaithful and cheated and got what's-her-name pregnant or caught a disease and slapped her. Yeah. Dude lost his job, so now he's selling drugs. Like, it's just the same typical toxic stuff. Our people just love it. People, I don't know if you've been seeing it, but like every time like R&B singers, they go through a breakup, people would be like, oh, I know some fire music going on.
Yeah, the album.
Like, it's expected.
No, for real.
We got to go through pain just so people can feel us. But it's really putting an emphasis on the state of the minds of the people that's living in this place. It says, the habitation of devils, the hold of every foul spirit. Y'all just be getting tired of dealing with Israelites that got foul spirits. Man. It's like there is no way for you to be living your life the majority of your way with this type of spirit. How are you always bothered? How are you always anxious? And then what's worse is the people that have anxiety and they start to offend people because they have like anxiety. Yeah. I can't deal with this right now. Moving. Like, whoa, hold on. You have a bad day and you're going to make everybody feel it.
Right.
All right. How long are you going to live a life and you just going to continue to be a liar? Lying is cool. Right? It says of every foul spirit, the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Go ahead.
For all nations have drunk of her wine, of the wrath of her fornication.
And we have to be careful because as Israel, sometimes we be sipping off that cup and don't even realize it. What does it mean to drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication? The Bible talks about spiritual fornication, right? When you start to worship other gods and you start to take on other ideologies. You have to be careful of that. If you find yourself thinking like an American, you partaking of that cup. The American way is sin. And that's why all these other nations, it says they drunk of this cup. They leave where they're from to come over here and practice things they never would have did back in their homeland. All in the name of the American dream. They come out here and start making a whole lot of money. Next thing you know, you got people that left Muslim countries keeping Christmas.
Right.
And Halloween. Oh, it's just an office party, nothing major. You partaking of that cup. When you an Israelite and you start to obey the thoughts or the ideas of America more than the commandments of God, that's a scary place to be in. You got to check that spirit. Because this is the overall warning that we get. Read on.
And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
You see, that's one of the you got to pay to play methods with America. We don't mind making you rich. We don't mind giving you all this clout and all this prestige, but you got to get your hands dirty. You got to lay down and do what America does. Go ahead.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people.
Come out of her, my people." That's the whole point. Yeah, you may see some glamour. Yeah, you may see something that make your eyes get big, but do not get caught up in this place. Go ahead.
That ye be not partakers of her sins.
So it's very simple what the Most High is saying. Don't lay in bed with America. If your job is telling you to do things, right, that goes against the commandments of our God, you don't do that. Well, they gave me a raise, but I got to work one Saturday out the month. Forget that raise. Don't become rich by trimming your ways to seek love, because it's not going to last. It's not going to last. Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins. We have examples of righteous men who lived in places that was wicked, and they upheld their integrity. They kept the law. They were righteous. Look at Lot and his family. They were able to be delivered from Sodom and Gomorrah because they upheld the law. They did that which was right. Joseph, amongst the Egyptians, you don't read where he all of a sudden went and started worshiping Ra and all those other false gods that Egypt has. He said, I'm going to stay with my God. And he got blessed because of that. It ended up being a blessing to the nation of Israel later on. But go ahead.
That ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
Go ahead.
For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God have remembered her iniquity.
Exactly. This place, it's got a special seat in judgment dealing with God. The Most High hates this place. For one, this place is housing the children of Israel as slaves. That's off the bat. And then secondly, just how everything is being done here. You have certain countries where they don't necessarily live super unlawfully. They may have like some dietary things that they break, but in general, murder is not okay. It's not accepted. You can rap about murder and sing about murder and become a millionaire here in America. I mean, look at all the people we learned about coming up. You got your Jesse Jacksons, or no, is it Jesse James, the famous bank robber? Al Capone. These are like legitimate gangsters and murderers who they've made celebrities. We hear what was the famous couple? Bonnie and Clyde. Everybody, we be rapping about, oh, you could be my Bonnie, I'll be your Clyde. Yeah, it's nonsense. So you don't want to get caught up in this place at all. Let's go to Isaiah 42. Isaiah 42 and verse 18.
Verse 18. Hear ye deaf, and look ye blind, that ye may see.
And of course, this is talking about Israel. A lot of us have our full hearing and our full sight, but for some reason can never understand the word of God. You don't see any of the miracles or any of the blessings that he's presenting. You don't see the prophecy unfolding in front of your face. You can't hear the wisdom that's coming out of this book when people are teaching. So the Most High is saying, look, y'all deaf ones and y'all blind ones, open up. Hopefully y'all can pay attention. Go ahead.
Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent?
Do y'all hear this? We living in the last days, and Bishop Tzion was just teaching about this. We're living in the last days, and Israel is trying to kick back with their feet up. There's not a real urgency or this zeal, this burning desire to work to get up out of captivity and to see the salvation that's promised to the righteous. You just don't see it as a collective. Everybody kind of just on chill mode. Everybody trying to find a way to where they could be comfortable. That's not what I read for us to be doing in captivity. We're supposed to be working. We're only in captivity because of our sins. Why wouldn't you go above and beyond to show the Most High that you're sorry so he could take us out of captivity?
All right.
It says, who is blind but my servant? It's like everybody else on the earth, they got eyes to see what's going on. But my servant Israel, they act like they can't see it. Or deaf as my messenger that I sent. How is it the Most High sent us with the message and we never heard the message to begin with? You finally show up to your destination to share the message that you've been given, and you're like, well, I never heard what it was. That's how we act. Go ahead.
Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as the Lord's servant?
Godly, go ahead.
Seeing many things, but thou observest not.
You see that? We see so much here in America, so much in this world. We are witnessing the prophecy of God unfold in front of our face. And look at the attitude of Israel. We're more ungrateful than ever. We're more prideful than ever. Don't have anything to show for our life here, but somehow the most prideful, the most stubborn, the most stiff-necked. It's ridiculous. Seeing many things, but thou observest not. We looking at earthquake upon earthquake, civil uproar against civil uproar, and Israel is just like, I don't see nothing wrong. It's been going on for centuries. It's always been like that. GMO foods. We don't have healthy land to grow food. All of this is going on, and we just acting like, well, that's just life. Not observing the fact that the Most High is visiting this earth. Go ahead.
Opening the ears, but to hear it not.
And they open the ears, but hear not. We see our people week in and week out. And it's still a struggle just trying to get the spirit right amongst our own. People show up and give you that poker face. Like, dang, that's all you got for me? I'm not getting nothing just from it's just stale face. Like, man. But go ahead.
The Lord is well pleased for his righteous sakes. He will magnify the law and make it honorable.
The Most High has to do something at this point to get our people to see it, because he's like, anything else is not working. It's going to take me having to magnify certain things, right, and certain people to show the rest of the nation, like, hey, this is what y'all need to be focused on. And that's what we're experiencing right now. There's a gap because people's interests aren't always aligned. What you could be focused on now could be something completely different from what this person over here is focused on. And that's sad, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be showing up here to be focused on the Most High. So it's like, how is us as servants, we've already been given job duties and a job description. How are you lost and looking for something to do? That's all I needed from there. Let's go to, we don't even need that. You guys can write down Leviticus 25 and verse 55. It says that Israel is the Most High servant. He didn't call everybody else. So, and people get offended sometimes. It's like, dang, like, why are you always picking on me? Because I want you to do more, do better. We were called to serve God. Why would you go super hard for your employers. You go super hard for the goals you're trying to accomplish in your life. But why don't you give that same level of zeal when it concerns the work of God? That's your average Israelite. They just kind of coasting by and hoping somebody else is going to do it. They see something on the floor and just walk past it 20 times in hopes that somebody else is going to clean it up. That's not what the Most High is looking for. The Bible says we're actually supposed to provoke one another to good works. It's a good thing if you got somebody on you like, hey, you could be doing more. That means you got something to work with, for one. Because if you wasn't dependable, I'm pretty sure nobody would even bother you. But the fact is, hey, I know that you can kick into another gear. I know you could do more works. Collectively, there's so much more we have to do. So there's a certain level of pride that you need to take knowing that you're a servant of God. But let's go to Hebrews chapter 10. Verse 24. Actually, 23. Verse 22.
Hebrews 10 and verse 22. Let us draw near with the true heart and full assurance. Let us draw near with the true heart and full assurance of faith.
And this is how you flee Babylon. When it says, come up out of her, my people, this is how you do it. Any other way is going to keep you snared and trapped. It says, let us draw near. We're drawing near to the Father. Let us draw near back to God with a true heart. Don't be that person that has a double mind, a deceptive heart, a deceitful heart, where it's like, you know what, I'm only doing this for this, or maybe if I do this, then God ain't shit. Don't be that person. Serve God because you know it's the right thing to do. God. Serve your people because you know it's the right thing to do. Go ahead.
In full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience.
Exactly, because that blood was shed for you to no longer live the life that you was living. Read.
And our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering.
It says, let us hold fast the profession of our hope without wavering. We forget that this is a profession. This is a business that we're in. Any business that you're in, if you're an employee that's lacking and you're not keeping up with what the code is, you get let go. Why you want the Most High to treat you like that? People just slacking, they showing up. You don't even show up late or do the no call, no show for your job, but you treat the Most High like that. You not showing up to feast days, not showing up to classes, having people guess where you at. You got to know the Most High isn't pleased with that service. But go ahead.
For he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works.
You see that? That should be the focus, because things get real petty within Israel. You have a lot of times people will provoke you to wrath and anger. They'll provoke you to sin and to cause offense. We should be provoking one another out of love and unto good works. Not allowing one another to get too high-minded, because sometimes brothers do awesome and great works, but guess what? It don't stop there. Hit it again. Do better. Abound. Always abounding, right?
That's crazy. I was having a conversation with somebody at work today, and it was going into how we talk to each other. And going into like that provocation. Like sometimes people, there's so many people that just have an attitude. So they're just looking for a chance to just throw that at somebody else, and it's just going to create that tension and strife. But I'm like, when you really know how to talk to people, you know how to pretty much deliver that love or deliver that good energy in order for them to be more productive, in order for them to make the correction if they're wrong, in order for them to be a better person. And a lot of times we either trying to avoid those conversations, or like I said, it's just we ready to fight each other for no reason.
I feel like some people even thrive in those toxic conditions. It's like they can't even
they want a story
operate
to
or
tell
move
or
right. Yeah, unless things is backwards. And it's like, dude, like you said, when you got that real love and you understand, there should be purpose behind you getting on somebody. It shouldn't be like, oh, I'm just feeling away, so let me get on this person. It's like, nah, I see that there's an opportunity for coaching right here.
And that person will understand.
Yeah, because of the spirit that you're bringing it in. You ain't even try to come and cut their head off, so to speak. But it's like, hey, let me holler at you for real. Brother to brother, sister to sister. This is what I see, and this is what the Bible says we need to be doing, type of conversation. And that's something we practice. It's sad that we have a culture now to where people really don't even care to talk and hash out problems. They just ready to cut people off. And I can't even blame them in all instances, because the Bible even gives you occasion to cut people off. But you got to make sure you go through all the proper steps.
Exactly.
Someone, they dented your car. You can't cut them off because of that.
Looking for a reason.
Yeah, like, man, you broke my windshield. I don't rock with you. It don't work like that.
I mean, you still got to be long suffering to a certain extent.
We was playing basketball and the basketball hit the. Nah, you did it on purpose. Like, you can't be like that.
Now, do you think that that's something that we suffer from in the Israelite community?
For sure. Yeah, for sure, for sure. A lot of people haven't matured, you know, and it's easier to cut people off and not have those hard conversations because a lot of times the person that's ready to cut the other person off is at fault somewhere, and they don't want to hear about the fault or the part that they played in that. Okay. So it's a maturity thing, and it's a lot of people that's not mature in the spirit. Sometimes people don't even know how to regulate their own spirit. They're so far gone and have let Satan control so much of them. It's like by the time any little instance come up, they don't even have the wherewithal to check themselves. It's like it's just happening right here. But that's why it's so important to have a body. Because if it's just you and that person, they going off, it's kind of like he say, she say. Now, if you doing something in front of 10, 20, 30 people, all them hands can be like, hey, no, you get it together. You're wrong, such and such. But it's definitely a problem within Israel, you know?
So what would be your advice to those types of people that's struggling in that area, that may not be able to recognize how they react to those situations and how to correct it?
Well, the Bible says it takes a willing mind. If you first have a willing mind, you can accomplish anything.
So they have to choose.
They have to choose. Everything is a choice. Like Bishop Tazai said years ago, if say it's a woman and she's known for just mouthing off, she can't nobody control her mouth. She gonna say what she need to say and all of that, right? If she in a bank and somebody come in there robbing a bank and pistol whip her upside the head and say, if you say any other word, I'm blowing your brains out, I'm pretty sure she gonna have enough common sense to be quiet. Right. You got enough common sense to be quiet when your bosses or your supervisors is checking you or correcting you on something. You should have that same level of patience and understanding when it comes down to your relationships, right, in your house, with your brothers and sisters in the nation. It shouldn't be no different. Same thing for a brother. It's a choice. So people need to honestly read this Bible. And
that's another thing.
They need to read the Bible for a few reasons. One, the Bible is going to give you wisdom that you may not always hear talking to somebody else, right?
Agree.
And secondly, it shows you the consequences of your mistakes. You can be like, well, can't nobody tell me nothing. Okay, cool. But if you read these scriptures, it tells you that at the end of the day, you're going to be judged forever based on how you carried yourself on this earth. So I suggest you read that a couple of times and let it sink in your spirit. And next time you have a moment or whatever, I feel like you can make a better decision. You know, but you got to have that conviction. That's why the Bible tells us to read this Bible, because when you go without reading and hearing certain things for so long, it kind of gets further and further in the back of your mind.
Agreed.
You gotta be told, like, hey, look, it says right here, you need to watch the way you deal with your people. You can't just deal with Israel any type of way. It's gonna be a harsh judgment behind it. That person's more than likely gonna be like, ooh, you know what? Let me check myself, or they're gonna remove themselves. Go ahead.
Verse 25. Not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is.
And funny thing we was just talking about, when you're in a situation like this, you're more prone to make better decisions. You got to surround yourself around good people, for one, right? Because it says not the forsaking of the assembling of ourselves. They weren't assembling to do nonsense. They was assembling to really serve the Most High and get their spirit back in order. If you're around people like that, because to a certain degree, you kind of are what your environment is. Yeah. You're going to make better decisions if you're around better people. Yeah, because exactly, the influence. And we can't act like it's not there, because I'm pretty sure in all of our lives, we got testimonies and experiences of stuff that we probably wouldn't have did if we didn't have somebody influencing us at the time. You know, like, man, if I was by myself, I'd have never did that. But because so-and-so said, let's do it, I did it. Influence is real, and it works on a spiritual level too. Go ahead.
As the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more, as you see the day approaching. You see that? We're supposed to exhort one another so much more, even knowing that that day is fast approaching. But look at the difference in character and zeal. The book of Hebrews was way before us, bro. Way before us. And they already had that fear, like, we can't be messing around. That day is coming. We actually in them days, and everybody's just like, we got to get it together. It's going to be like a thief in the night.
That's all I needed from there. Let's go to Matthew chapter 12 and verse 46. And scriptures like this are important because it helps keep things in balance. Got to be balanced. Go ahead, verse 46.
Verse 46. While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee.
So Yahushua, Jesus Christ, he was with his disciples, and they were out teaching, and there was a mass multitude, insomuch that Jesus' own family didn't have direct access to him. They was trying to make their way through the crowd, and they passing a note like, hey, let him know his family's trying to talk to him, right? So what did he say? Go ahead.
But he answered and said unto them that told him, who is my mother, and who are my brethren?
So was he asking a question that he didn't know the answer to? No, but he was saying this to make a point and to give Israel a little bit more understanding about this walk. He said, who is my mom? Who's my family? Who's my brothers you talking about? Go ahead.
And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren.
So what he's saying is, you have a biological mom, a biological dad, and maybe brothers and sisters. He's not saying that they aren't considered your family. What he's saying is, when it comes down to this walk, you need to be around like-minded people, because your family in the world is not always going to necessarily give you the most righteous advice, especially if they're not studied in these scriptures. You have certain families where they were heavily into the Christian or Catholic church, so they know certain scriptures better, but overall their walk isn't a walk of repentance. Okay. So it's a safer bet when you can look to your left and look to your right with people you building with and be like, you know what? I know they got my best interests at heart. I'm going to take heed. I'm going to follow. I'm going to support. I'm going to back them. That's what he's getting at, because all the apostles, not all of them, but they went through a lot of tribulation, being put to death. Christ's own cousin, John, beheaded. So he's like, look, this walk comes with some serious stuff. You're going to need some good-minded people around you that's going to keep you in a healthy headspace, because even at times where he was around brothers, right, like Peter, and he said, I won't have it so. Everything you talking about, that's not going to happen. You're going to be here forever. He said, Peter, shut up. Get behind me, Satan. You being adverse to my calling right now. And he's actually in the faith. He's in the walk. Imagine somebody's not keeping no type of commandments, and noise starts to go around that you're going to mess around and get locked up for the word that you teach. And they're going to be like, no, don't. Just stop teaching. Just stop doing this. Why go to jail? Or I can't listen to that right now. Yeah. Go ahead.
For whosoever shall do the will of my Father, which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother.
You see that? These are the people that we should be holding in higher regard, because the whole thing is there's a level of respect and honor that's due to your parents. He's saying when you find people that's really doing the will of the Most High, you're supposed to deal with them in that same fashion. Give them that honor and give them that respect. And they're going to do the same thing for you. And that goes back to what you was just talking about, like how we speak to one another. I can't just talk to you and deal with you any type of way. That's not righteous. You shouldn't want to.
I think to tie it all together again is that going back to this is our profession. When you look into any kind of industry, there's multiple different factors that are contributing to building that industry. So if we're dealing with us keeping the laws, building our nation back, serving the Most High, and having our churches and stuff like that, we all have different roles that we are contributing to each other. Now, when you deal with each other as like family in that sense, there's going to be things where, like we said, that different influences you may have on the next worker, because they're going to look at the trials and tribulations that only you would know because you've been in this walk, versus somebody else that hasn't been in this walk. They have no type of understanding, no type of testimony, no type of wisdom to give in that aspect for you to be stronger and better. So it's like you really got to take all of those things into consideration and look at it from different perspectives, because it's not just a choice. Yeah, exactly. It's not, you're going to have good times, you're going to have hard times, but nevertheless, the key thing is always like you're going to need that wisdom from people that's been doing the same walk to keep going.
And there's different types of wisdom. Because you have even heathens on this earth that have been giving some levels of wisdom, right? They can get you right on so many different levels. But when it comes down to spirit and righteousness, that is a reserved spirit that the Most High saves for those that's actually keeping his commandments. Everybody doesn't have access to that, you know? And it's all for our benefit at the end of the day. And something that I thought about while you was expounding on your point was that when you treat people like family, family is the one you usually can be more vulnerable with and open up more and have those walls not as high compared to a stranger. You know, even if I don't know you from, you know, head to toe, your full family background, I know you've been in this truth, really keeping these commandments and really uplifting your people for 30 plus years. I feel like I could be open with you. You're going to tell me the right thing to do. You're not going to lead me astray. Whereas certain people in the world, for one, you're not even interested in opening up or being vulnerable. Or if two, you giving them some type of half story where they can't even fully help you because they don't even have all the details to begin with. So it's really a foolproof method the Most High is delivering to us. It's just for us to really stand 10 toes on this and follow it through. For real. Let's go to John chapter 6. And we're not going to be before you all night, Israel, but we got to get that daily bread in. Got to get that daily bread. John chapter 6, and I want verse 60.
Verse 60. Many therefore of his disciples, when they had heard this, said, "This is a hard saying, who can hear it?" When Yahushua knew in himself that his disciple murmured at it, he said unto him, "Does this offend you?"
Right, because sometimes you really got to have that conversation with people that you love, and you got to ask them, does this testimony that I bear, that I carry, does it offend you? Just so you can get a level playing field. Because sometimes people be dealing with you a certain way, and it's like, man, like, where's all this energy coming from? Like, am I an offense to you? Let's start there. And Christ said, blessed is he that is not offended in me. You can't find this calling that we have to be something that is an inconvenience to your life. It has to become your life. And this is what Christ is getting ready to tell them. Don't be tripping off what I'm saying. Because he was talking about how he was going to be killed and basically people was going to have to feast off of him, feast off his body. Not understanding he was talking about Passover. But they like, man, this is a hard saying for like, you expect us to be okay with you telling us right now? But he's like, yeah. So go ahead. He said, hey, does this offend you?
What, and if ye shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before.
He said, what, and if ye shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before? Like, basically, if you tripping off of this, how you going to prepare yourself if you see me go back to the Father for real, for real? Basically saying like, man, y'all being so caught up in this flesh right now. Focus on your spirit. Read.
It is the spirit that quickeneth, and the flesh profited nothing.
It's the spirit of the Most High that quickeneth, which makes us alive, that gives us our vitality. That's what the Most High Spirit does. People are looking for life and all these other things, and it's dead works. He said, if you following me, you following up on my spirit, you keeping my commandments and going through for your people, that is how you're going to find life again. That's what's going to make you alive. That's what's going to quicken you. But you just depending on your flesh, man, it says it profits nothing. Anything you're able to accomplish in your flesh is by the grace and mercy of God. Some people get so caught up and it's like, man, I'm in great health. That's today.
Right.
Tomorrow you could be jacked up. This flesh doesn't profit anything. Go ahead.
The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
If you keep these words, wouldn't it make sense that you would come to life? If I'm speaking life into you, you're going to have a greater life. Because a lot of us were not living. When you woke up to knowing you was an Israelite, that was you just laying in bed with your eyes open. You still wasn't fully up. Once you started keeping these commandments and walking, now you actually up. Now you moving. Now you thriving. But it's a hard process for a lot of our people to understand with serving the Most High, because we've been taught falsely for so long of what serving God should look like. It's not always the prettiest serving God according to this flesh. The Bible even talks about how you had righteous men dying, and it said everybody that was wicked and without understanding, they sitting there crying about it, not knowing that dude or sister spirit's in a way better place. But it was to say, like, damn, like they really went through some stuff though. Made people feel a type of way. Christ is saying, dude, I'm showing you it's possible. I don't think anybody went through the amount of torture that Christ went through. And I think literally on a physical level, anybody else probably would have gave up the ghost. But he held on for all that time, all that suffering, to finally give it up hours later on that cross after being beaten viciously, losing all types of blood. He said, these words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Don't let nobody just run the okie doke on you talking about, oh yeah, I'm spiritual. Man, demons are spiritual. What do you mean by that?
Right.
What do you mean you spiritual? What type of spirit do you have? Brothers be like, I was in the spirit. What spirit? It wasn't the Holy Spirit.
Right.
But we understand Christ, he comes in the volume of this book. All these pages, all these words that you read, and it is Christ speaking. From the words of the apostles to the prophets to you name it, the songs, all that inspiration was Christ. He is our source that we go to, right? He said he's the door. You can't get to the Father but through him. Go to Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 4.
Verse 4. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives.
We're carried away captives. So this word applies to us. Go ahead.
Whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem to Babylon.
You see how that worked? Even in the spirit, we live in spiritual Babylon, the land of confusion. Go ahead.
Build ye houses and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them.
This is the work that we've been called to do. Building up our communities, because guess what? Communities translate to a kingdom. That's just like marriages. Marriages are the building blocks to communities, and communities are the building blocks to a whole nation. When you got 300 plus communities of people, that's a whole nation of people. You feel me? We've been given instruction on what we need to do here. Here's the thing. It says, build ye houses and dwell in them. Do you guys know that according to the Bible, a church is called a house of learning?
Talk about it.
We're supposed to be building up more congregations, expanding camps, building churches. That's a part of what's being told for us to do in captivity. Because guess what? When you can get everybody centralized and start meeting, it's easier to start getting the word out. Man. We all played the telephone game. After about the fourth or fifth person, the message gets diluted and distorted. If I got everybody here in front of me, everybody's going to get a chance to hear clearly what it is we need to be focused on or what it is we need to be doing. So, yeah, you can build your own house up for sure. But how about these churches? Build up the houses of learning, giving our people a shot and a chance at redemption. It says, build ye houses and dwell in them, plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. That's something we actually practicing. And it translates because now you start to develop a people that's not dependent upon a government. A lot of us, we too far gone. We're going to be eating at the grocery store and for the rest of our lives because that's just what we used to. But the next generation of kids, they're going to find pride and joy in knowing that the food that they're growing is not, contaminated with all types of pesticides and chemicals. Feeding your family actual good food. From scratch. From the earth. Stuff that would cause us to live longer. Go ahead.
Take ye wives and beget sons and daughters. And take wives for your sons and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminished.
And even with that, definitely getting your marriage, right? But looking out for your kids and finding partners for them. That's what it's detailing, because the culture that we have today in America is not what our forefathers practiced. Man. You didn't have some little girl from 15 to 18 years old, bringing all these different boyfriends to the house. And after all those failed relationships, now she's in college and she finally finds the one. And it's some guy that lives way off in another. That wasn't what our people was doing. You rolling the dice with your marriage because you don't even know what you bring in and introduce into your family. It was always a situation where the parents were involved with finding a good partner for their child. Because now the parents, they have some say-so, especially if you start at a young age. If we start doing these arranged marriages and getting these kids in a space to understand, like, hey, you're being built up to become a husband and a wife. You need to move like this. Matter of fact, we thinking about linking you up with this family over here in about 7, 8, 10 years. Y'all start building way before the marriage even happens. So that way, by the time it happens, it's a smooth transition. So much more resources can be brought to the table because there's a different level of trust. This is what we have to start doing now, not waiting, but now. That's all I needed from there. Isaiah 49:6. And that's a part of what this scripture is talking about. Because it's not a light thing to raise up a people that's been destroyed from the ashes. It's not a light thing. It's a real heavy calling. But you have to understand the glory that comes with this. Everybody complain about Israel like, oh, I'm tired of dealing with niggas and the attitudes. You don't think that's what's going to make it worth it at the end? Yeah. Like, what do you think you're being judged off of? God is saying, like, yeah, trust me, I know. And I applaud you for your patience. I applaud you for your dedication and being like Moses and going through with the same people. Because everybody in Israel is not jacked up. A lot of us are, but not everybody. You're going to find some good ones that's going to make it worthwhile. Like, you know what? As long as I can see you three every weekend, I'm good. Yeah. We're going to be all right. As long as I can see y'all.
No, for real.
But that's where it comes from, man, because we have a lot of trials and a lot of tribulation dealing with Israel. A lot.
I think that's also like with anything that you truly love, you're going to have times you love it, you're going to have times you hate it.
Man, but keeping that drive, though, and still staying with it.
You have to find a way to maneuver through all of it because, you know, you see the reward in it, you know, and it's the people that fall off are the people that either forget about the rewards or it's not as important to them no more, you know.
And even for those people, it's not like they were a complete lost cause because the memory of them serves for an example as well. When you have kids, you be like, dang, what happened to such and such? Oh, they fell off. That's something that kid now has to hold on to. Like, damn, I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. You know? But it's bittersweet, though. But everything we go through in this process is going to be worth it. The Most High is not, he didn't give us no cakewalk to inherit the kingdom from, right? He said, nah, you about to
get tried. You
about to inherit glory in the kingdom and everlasting life coming up out of hell. That's what's going to make it like, finally, all praises.
For real, man.
Because we work hard at this. We work hard, man. It's a joy just week in and week out being able to see my brothers and see my sisters. It's going to be worth it. And we know it is. That's why we show up every week. If we all grown in here. Ain't nobody forcing us to come. We knew if this was a complete waste of time, we wouldn't be showing up. But you know that the Most High Spirit got you locked in. We all understood the calling, and we all just trying to serve our Heavenly Father. God, all praises. Let's read that, Isaiah 49:6.
Verse 6, and he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant.
You see that? It is such a light thing, meaning it's not a heavy matter. It's not something that should be racking your brain. It's just the toughest decision. He said this should be light work. A scrimmage. You're not even really playing for real. It should be easy. It should be a light thing to be a servant of the Most High God, because we didn't serve so much less, right? For a whole lot more of our time, life, and all of that. Like, you didn't serve Edomite bosses and you was giving them your all. People would be proud to say, I worked at this company 30 plus years and now I'm retiring. I'd be like, Imagine if you had that same joy and energy for God and his people. Said it should be a light thing to serve our God, because what he's asking us to do, what I love first and foremost is we serve a reasonable God. Nothing that we do is without reason. I be thinking like, okay, like, nah, that's reasonable. Yeah, I mean, that's reasonable. Everything is reasonable. Yeah. He gave us a dietary law. Because people be like, well, and it's funny too, because I'll be like, man, if only the Most High would have did certain things so people would know they was in sin. Like, imagine if all the unclean foods was disgusting. There was nothing you could do to make it taste good. And people just love eating the shrimp and the pork and the crab. I'd be like, you just deliberately a sinner. But we all used to eat that. It wasn't necessarily the worst tasting food, right? Whole thing is, he gave us a dietary law that's good for our health, that will cause you to live longer. That is reasonable. The civil laws that he's given us to be able to live amongst one another in harmony is reasonable. Even like the laws and the judgments of all the laws, right? Because people think the only judgment is death. Hey, this brother stole something from that brother. We asked 3 people, how should he be judged? You're going to get like 3 different answers. What did God say? Pay him back double.
Simple.
That's reasonable. That's reasonable. You got people over here, man. It's sad. They spending the rest of their lives in jail because they stole something. Whether it be like, like the diamond heists and all of that. Most High said you just had to pay it back. That's not necessarily a sin worthy of death. And if it was a situation where it was too much for you to pay back, well, guess what? Now you work for that other person forever. You still get to go home to your family. Like, everything the Most High has given us is reasonable. It should be a light thing to serve him. Go ahead.
To raise up the tribes of Jacob.
To raise up your people. What type of life are you living if you're not living to see your people being risen up from the state of oppression that we in? That's something that took me a little while to realize, because we was all raised selfishly. We wasn't taught care about the next man who you don't even know. We was not taught that. But now we actually got more time. We have more understanding. Now we could suffer a little bit more for people who we necessarily may not know on a personal level, but I know that you my nation. Go ahead.
And to restore the preserved of Israel.
To restore the restoration of our people, Israel. How is that not the most important thing for a lot of our people in this truth right now? Everything that's been taken from us, everything that's been stolen from us, you should want to be in a space to where you can restore something. Go ahead.
I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth.
And he said, this work going to look so glorious, the other nations even going to look at you in awe and be like, yeah, when this place goes down, I'm trying to go over there with the Jews. I want to serve them. Right. Because that's what it says. It says, man, when this place come crashing down, you're going to have heathens grabbing on the skirt of a Jew, talking about, please take me with you to serve your God. They already taking notes. These same heathens that be giving you funny looks and you be ready to cuss them out, they probably just choosing like, yeah, I don't mind serving you. In the kingdom, I'll serve you. Go to 2 Timothy 3:1. Yeah, you gotta be 10 toes for this. And it's crazy. The Most High is a man of principle. And he gives us like certain scriptures to meditate on. The one where he says, if you're not least in little, if you're not faithful in little, you're not going to be faithful when you get a lot. And it'd be like those little principle things that we learn. Just like, okay, like, let me just learn how to manage what I have and perfect what I have. A lot of times we want and desire more than what we're capable of even securing and keeping, to be honest. A lot of times people will talk about stuff that they've gotten and stuff that they've had, but it's like, okay, but did you keep it? Were you able to keep it? No? Why not? Oh, I wasn't disciplined in this, and I messed it off doing that. And save the story then. Just get it again, and this time hold on to it. But I say all of that to say the Most High gives us his spirit like in increments. If you can get a little bit of his spirit and perfect it, why wouldn't he give you more? We'd be asking for all the best qualities of the Holy Spirit, and you overlooking the ones that you already got. For real. Someone may be sincere, and you can't overlook that spirit, to have a sincere spirit, right?
Right.
But in your sincerity, you never sought discipline. You know, or in your discipline, you never saw it long suffering and being meek. Like there's so many different levels to the spirit of the Most High, abounding in all things, learning how to perfect it, and he gives you more, and more. So that way, by the time, if you faithful in a whole lot, why wouldn't he give you the kingdom? Go ahead.
I don't know what you said. Kind of like just sparked like a few ideas in my mind, but one of the biggest one is simple. We all have our own voice, literally, like sound, the sound, the timbre of our voice, and you know, pretty much nobody really talks like you. It's almost like it's identifying to who you are as a person. And ultimately, to get straight to the point, is that, you know, sometimes a lot of people get caught up trying to sound like other people, where it's like, yo, all you got to do is define your own voice, because it's already a reflection of the Most High. Just find out how it is, stick with it, perfect it, and then you could be an influence to somebody else. You know, so I mean, like those types of things is like, you know, there isn't one way. You know, all of us are connected to the Most High. You have to find, like, you know, your style with the same type of spirits, but you may have a strength in this one, you know, which doesn't diminish you in another one, but at the same time, like you saying, just like, yo, look at the ones you got perfected, and then more is gonna come after that, because it's all intertwined some way.
I feel like sometimes people struggle with doing what you're talking about because they haven't fully given themselves to be a vessel, if that makes sense.
I agree.
Like, you know that you're supposed to be used and moved by God, but like sometimes you still got that stiff neck. You're not just loose and like allowing him to, you know, mold you. Allow yourself to be open. Allow yourself to be used, and the Most High is going to pour into you. You know, like you said, definitely there's different offices and different moving parts to the whole overall body of Israel. When you allow yourself to be used, you're going to find out what you're good at.
Right.
It's not going to take long. And then you're going to have people in that same field or wherever that is to help refine you even more. So it's a constant process of the Most High giving us something and us taking it as far as it can go.
And giving it back. And
then he'd be like, you know what? Well done, my good and faithful servant. Here goes more. So you right on point with that. That 2 Timothy. And 1.
2 Timothy 3 and verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come.
We are living in those perilous times, y'all. Should I get the definition for the people online? Let me get y'all the definition real quick of perilous. This one's giving me the short one. But it says, full of danger or risk. That's the times that we live in. It's some dangerous times to be calling yourself an Israelite. And that's why it's so funny to me. You got certain Israelites that still want like that hood aesthetic. Like they kind of want to be like, they want to get their stripes based off of stuff what they was doing in the streets and all of that. I don't care what hood you was from. There's nothing more dangerous than being an Israelite. You could be from rolling whatever crib. You could be from this hood. You could be from Bloods. There's nothing more dangerous than being a law-keeping Israelite. Nothing. There's a huge target on your back when you're an Israelite that's keeping God's laws. That's what needs to be highlighted and focused on. So it says perilous times is going to come. Perilous for who? For the righteous. That's what the whole thing is. Like, he's not just warning the world like, hey, world, guess what? It's going to get rough. No, he's telling the righteous some perilous times ahead of y'all. The stuff y'all about to be faced with, it's not going to be easy, but I promise you it's going to be worth it. But let's read.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves.
So guess what? That means there's not going to be a whole lot of love for those that's trying to do the right thing. Read.
Covetous.
They want what you have, but they're not willing to go through the steps that you took to get there. And whatever you have, they willing to take it by force. And that's what you see big in the world right now. whether it be cars, jewelry. They just got done killing the brother, PNB Rock, right down the street of Roscoe's for his chain. Instead of somebody saying like, damn, I'm going to work hard one day so I can afford it, they say, nah, give it now. Go ahead.
Boasters.
How much of it is a pain for somebody like you and somebody like you to hear somebody boasting of things that you know is unlawful? They be boasting like, oh, yeah, you know, God, he been good to me. He gave me something. Like, oh, hell no. I know you're not. Satan gave that to you. They boast of themselves. Pride is on a whole nother level. That's something that just irritates us because we understand we're nothing without the Most High. At least every other sentence you're going to be hearing say Most High willing or, you know, all praises. And it's always going back to the Father. It's nothing worse than talking to somebody and it's all about them. But go ahead.
Proud.
Uh-huh.
Blasphemers.
Right.
Disobedient to parents. Unthankful.
Our people are so unthankful. It is sick. Man. Just unthankful. Like, don't even have the wherewithal to humble yourselves because you're thankful for the life that you've been given. For real. Go ahead.
The other thing is that people feel like they're what's the word? Like deserving, like
Entitlement.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, like that's the wildest one because it's like you're not that special. But yeah, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection.
And the reason, because sometimes people can be like, okay, well, how is that going to result to perilous times? Here's the thing. When morals go out of the window, you're left with everybody and anybody's own will. There's no more like barrier to where you can gauge where someone's morality starts or stops.
Protection.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, if someone's unthankful, covetous, or read off some of those other ones you said. Disobedient to parents. What else?
Unthankful, unholy,
blasphemers. Just with that right there, what's stopping that person from taking your life? They're already displaying all of these other fruits of the flesh. It's nothing for them to go and offend and go and start taking lives. That's why the world's going to end up in a perilous state, because what it's getting down to is nobody cares no more. Mm-hmm. There used to be a level of care that at least the community would be like, hey, we all can agree we don't want murder in this community. Now nobody cares. They be like, as long as it's not me. That's on them. How many times you done heard that? That's on them. No, that's on us. That's a us problem now. Go ahead.
Without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers. This is Christ got put to death being falsely accused. Perilous times is coming. Ain't no telling what they about to spin the narrative saying Israelites is doing, but them over there, they was the ones doing it. And because there's no natural affection, people not even going to care to get to the bottom of it. It's like, well, whatever they said is true. Get rid of them. Go ahead. Incontinent. Fierce.
Just look at how people deal with one another now. It's fierce. Y'all should look up the statistics for road rage killings and road rage car accidents in America.
One of my classmates, bro.
He got road rage?
No, got killed.
Recently?
This is about a year ago.
In road rage.
In road rage, man. It's sad, like it's real. But
I didn't even know that. But this is how prevalent it is. It's some perilous times we up against, man. For real. Go ahead.
Despises of those that are good.
Look at that. That's why it's gonna be perilous, because we know that them niggas over there, they gonna tell us the right thing to do, and we don't want to hear that. Get rid of them. That's what it's coming down to. When they had Christ on trial, Pilate said, who do y'all want, Christ or Barabbas? They said, give us Barabbas, the murderer. Who did Christ murder?
He did the opposite.
He brought people back to life. Had him up there on some trumped up charges, and they basically said, man, hang that nigga. Give us the murderer. The Bible said there's no new thing under the sun. And the worst part is those was people who knew they was Israelites. We always read this Bible from like our vantage point. Like, oh, we read about a bunch of people who didn't know who they were, and they just found, no, they knew who they was.
Yeah.
They knew. So it's gonna come to that point again where Jakes who know who they are, sisters know who they are, be the same ones calling the cops. Hey, get rid of them. They over there. Go ahead.
Traitors.
Heedy.
High-minded lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof.
Having a form of godliness. Y'all know this can't be talking about the heathens, right? How the heathens gonna have a form of godliness and they're not even a godly people? This is talking about our people, Israel. What you want to say?
Oh, the last part says, from such turn away.
From such turn away. Do yourself a favor and turn away and do what Christ said. Find family members, people that understand the will of God. Last two scriptures. I want Matthew 1:21.
Matthew 1:21. And he shall bring forth the Son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus. For he shall save his people from their sins.
Christ is coming back to save us, y'all. I know it sounds so just, he's coming back to save us. The people that actually care about his word, the people that actually want to get away from those perilous times and don't want to be like any of those people that we just got done reading about. It's for us who salvation is for. I know sometimes we get so just jaded with this day-to-day life and we get so accustomed to our pain and our sufferings, but that's the good news. He's coming for us, the ones who suffer, the ones who cry, the ones who complain and groan for righteousness' sake. It's coming to us. So everything that we're going up against and everything that's coming our way, the Bible says we're more than conquerors, because that should be the fuel. That should be the battery pack that gets put in our back to keep us going forward, is the fact that Christ is coming back to save us. Last scripture, 2 Timothy 1:7. Don't let nobody, try to shame you into thinking you serve a God that's forgotten about us. And because they've been saying he's coming back forever. Forget about it. Man, look, you can hold that same level of faith if you want. As far as me and my household, we're going to fear the Most High. And we're going to wait. Verse 7, yep.
2 Timothy 1:7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear.
At all. That is not what is running throughout our members is fear. It should not be fear. We fear the Most High, of course. But that's the type of fear that should cause you to move. Say, you know what, I fear God so much, I can't be stuck in my sin. I gotta change. I gotta be a different way if I want to be saved. The other type of fear our people have, they got a fear of some of the stuff our people fear. Our people fear self-development. When you start showing people and talking with people and showing them different ways where they can better themselves, right? Hey, this is how you get a little bit better character. This is how you start using more wisdom. Our people are so afraid to start trying stuff new. They just be like, no, I'm just comfortable being the way I am.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't be so scared that you can't change. That's not the right type of fear. And that's why I said the Most High has not given us that spirit of fear. Yeah, we know judgments is coming to this earth. That shouldn't stop the work that we got to do, though. Because people be like, man, how do I know if I'm going to be saved? You don't. Work hard. That's the whole thing. The Most High knows his creation, bro. If he would have told Israel, hey, I'm coming back January 20th, 2050, you would have Jakes doing everything but getting right up until a couple months prior.
Right.
The fact that we don't know and that there is, uncertainty, that's what should be causing us to go hard and go forward and really do this with a clear mind. Mm-hmm. Because it's not that you don't know, but you don't at the same time. Because the Most High said the righteous is who I'm saving. If you're righteous, you kind of got a safe card you could play. But now if you tiptoeing one time, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I can't say it's promised for you. But do what you're supposed to do and you can have confidence. Just like Paul. Paul said, look, man, I ran my race. I did what I was supposed to do. I got a white robe waiting on me. But look at his resume, though. He went hard. He gave up a lot, sacrificed a lot. He didn't even get married. Not that that was part of his mission, but he just said, man, I want to be so focused on you and my people. I don't even want to have a wife to have to deal with and kids that I'm going to have to raise. I'm going to just help the nation. That was a hell of a sacrifice he made. Now, everybody don't have to do that. But the thing is, we have examples of what to do and what not to do. So go ahead and read that again.
For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
Pray to the Most High that he gives and allows you to keep a sound mind. The reason why we can show up here week by week, bro, and not falter and not be persuaded to go is because we have a sound mind. The Most High is not allowing our minds to be corrupted. Everybody doesn't have that. It's a lot of people plagued in their mind. So, I'm telling you, Israel, the times that we in right now, it is not a time to play. We want to be thankful for everything that we have. And more than that, you want to ask the Most High to give you more, because there's always something to be done within the nation. Always. Remember, he hasn't given us the spirit of fear, but he has given us power. Christ himself said, hey, I'm giving you power over scorpions, over devils, all types of things. He said, walk in that power. A lot of us is walking around too shy and closed off. Bible says, don't nobody light a candle to put it under a bed. You do it and you put it on top somewhere so that the whole house can have light. You need to shine your light, Israel, and be righteous. All praise be to the Most High. That's the end of this lesson. We're going to close out and get ready for room 144 next with Bishop Banaya. Shabbat Shalom, Israel.